Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible that President Trump predicted and even knew that the Federal Bureau of Investigation was going to raid Mar-a-Lago. That's according to an AZ Central article. So, if a person reads the title of this video, they might say, oh, well, my goodness, this is nonsense. This is conspiratorial nonsense. This is the AZ Central. Was Donald Trump the true mastermind of the Mar-a-Lago raid? A visitor to Mar-a-Lago says Trump predicted the FBI raid on his home a year ago, and it came at a pivotal moment for his 2024 presidential campaign. Apparently, Michael Wolff, the author, visited Mar-a-Lago, and Trump said the following. Let's see, where is that here? Okay, so earlier this month, Michael Wolff, the much maligned journalist and author of the negative books about Trump White House, wrote that Trump had invited him to his Palm Beach compound in the spring of 2021. Quote, after writing two books generally butchering Donald Trump, I received an unlikely invitation to visit him at Mar-a-Lago so I could write a third. Negativity was not something he feared to the extent it added to this further strum and, around him, he courted it. When Wolff arrived at Mar-a-Lago, Trump went on about, certain things. Trump was savoring the discussion, recalled Wolff. Eventually, that conversation evolved into dinner. Quote, as I tried to leave, he held my arm for a few last minutes. He held my arm for a few last-minute words about his unbelievable fortitude in the face of his enemies, adding, quote, what if they stormed in here to search the place? Mar-a-Lago, here. Do you believe that's possible? Well, I wouldn't put it past them. So that's the quote from Trump attributed to Michael Wolff. Here it is again. So this is according to Michael Wolff, quoted in AZ Central in an opinion piece. Do I know if it's entirely accurate? No. Was there an empty safe and was the closed-circuit television running at all times? Yeah. So did it help bolster and energize every supporter of President Trump, all 70-plus million? When they say, Trump Republicans, Cheney and Kinzinger voted 90+% of the time in Congress alongside Trump. Okay, and if you look at, there was really not that much difference between Karen Taylor Robson, the defeated GOP candidate that Kari Lake defeated in Arizona. The rhetoric was very much the same. It's like the debate discussions or the campaign style of both Republicans were very much the same. Kari Lake, obviously more vocal about certain things, but there's not that much of a difference. So, anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with that, but you read this, and it's like the entire Republican Party was energized. Even never Trump Republicans were. I guess that was my point. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, right now. This is a very important segment. I'll be back in a couple of hours as well on this channel. I might have a live stream tonight. I'm not 100% sure, but be here nonetheless. I'll definitely have an upload or a live stream later this evening at around 9:30. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. To my new Patreons, I cannot thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much. And if you want to give a super thanks, the super thanks is below. But let's just read this again. Your super thanks is greatly appreciated. Quote, what if they stormed in here to search the place? Mar-a-Lago, here. Do you believe that's possible? Well, I wouldn't put it past them. There was an empty safe, and you had documents that Trump was negotiating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the DOJ and the National Archives for about, over a year now. This isn't something that it's very likely that they do indict him. A couple of my people in the comment section, indict him for what? It doesn't even matter. That's the point. They just want him out of 24. It doesn't matter. When people say, oh, indict him for what? I understand that mentality. But it doesn't matter. Do you understand? They just want him out of 24. They have only contempt and disdain for this man. And the Never Trump Republicans don't realize that it's actually a playbook. It's not the pure contempt and disdain for Trump is not really limited only to him. It's now a roadmap to defeating any Republican. So let's say Trump decided not to run, and you got a good Republican like Liz Cheney or Mittens Romney or Adam Kinzinger, who always looks like he's constipated. Like, he's just always like, has this intense, bizarre look. It's comical. But these people are actors. Kinzinger voted 90%, according to 538, in Congress alongside Trump. But they would do the same thing to him they did to Trump. There's never going to be a time where magazines talk about Paul Ryan's workout routine as if that's a story, okay? And they give positive coverage, or they give like a certain amount of coverage to non-political issues to Republicans. This is a new playbook now. So you have to ask yourself, if the Federal Bureau of Investigation is leveled against Trump, he knew that, and these agencies would be leveled against Cheney also, okay? And Cheney almost certainly knows that, but anyway, she doesn't care. It's very lucrative. When I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, there were some people who thought, I became a Trump supporter because it was lucrative. No. It's actually, it's like an endless, bottomless pit in terms of money. If you just, pretend that you're opposing Trump. We had record highs in household median income in 2019, a record high in household median income, a record low in poverty. Trump's policies worked. Okay, his policies worked. Biden's policies have led to recession. And then now he's saying that half the country is a threat to democracy. So anyone who supports Trump, or the Trump Republicans are this big menace to democracy, it's Democrats who want to silence want to influence social media algorithms to silence any discussion. What political side is trying to stifle debate and discussion? Okay, what political side wants to disarm you? What political side is siding with intelligence agencies and utilizing intelligence agencies to go after the direct political rivals? That's Democrats. Democrats purchased a dossier literally funded by Clinton, Trump's direct political rival, funneled it through with Michael Sussman and the Steele subsource, who's on trial in October, okay, and a whole bunch of other people, funnel it through the Federal Bureau of Investigation and all these other intel agencies, and utilized intel agencies, utilized the state apparatus against the direct political rival with a dossier that was purchased. It turned out to be a complete and utter hoax. The whole thing was from the very beginning. They're the ones who go after their direct political rival. Then when Trump brings it up, they say, oh my God, he's going after his direct political rival. The entire government was leveled against him. All of media is leveled against him. Generally, tyrants, if you have any concept or any understanding of history, tyrants and authoritarians have full control of media, which is what mashed potato brains Joe essentially has. Not really him, it's everyone backing him. In this case, social media algorithms that prevent and silence discussion. So censorship exists within authoritarian states. Okay, because the people in charge don't want, for example, to talk about Hunter's actual crimes. So they'll focus on the alleged crimes of Trump. They'll indict him on just having the classified data. It doesn't even matter if Clinton and Comey set a precedent, making a mockery of classified data siphoned out of the U.S. government for 4 years. It doesn't even matter. See, you have to understand that two things can be possible. There's a possibility that Trump provoked these government agencies into, or didn't care, or rolled the dice and said, if they do it, so what? It'll probably help me anyway. There is a case to be made that he could have simply acquiesced Trump and said, okay, here's everything that I have, just go ahead and take it. You could have made that case, mean, he could have done that, or if he wanted it for his library and he didn't trust the National Archives, I mean, that's, or he was negotiating, or if there's a precedent that he's pointing to, which there are numerous precedents that he's pointing to. He could have, it was an ongoing negotiation between the National Archives and Trump. Clinton didn't even give her servers initially. She said, those servers are mine. Look, what happened with Clinton, if you're calling what happened with Trump dishonorable, and you're ignoring what took place with Clinton, that is a dishonorable way of behaving. When you expect Trump to adhere to standards that his political rivals do not adhere to and completely openly mock, that's a problem. That's a problem with American society. You can't expect that Trump behaves in a manner that Clinton didn't, or I should say, maybe, okay, even if he should have behaved in a manner that's different. Let's say he should have, okay? You can't raid Mar-a-Lago, and they didn't do that with Hunter or with Clinton, who did far worse. Siphoning classified data outside the U.S. government on computer networks is infinitely worse. Anyone who says otherwise is either an imbecile or doesn't really understand the first thing about cybersecurity. You don't have to be a cybersecurity expert to realize that boxes containing classified data, it might be bad, but it's not even as egregious, not nearly as damaging to national security as 4 years of servers outside the U.S. government without the protections or the firewalls or whatever exists to protect data within secure government networks. For 4 years, they were unencrypted for a couple of months, also according to Forbes and Fortune. And I want a Hillary Trump 2024. I think Hillary Clinton should be the nominee. It'd be fantastic. But you have all of media against this man, and you have, like, Biden can have a recession, high inflation through the roof, gas prices will eventually keep going back up, geopolitical nightmare, crime, homelessness. You can have all of these bad things take place. Layoffs eventually, 4.4% median income down. You compare that to Trump's economy, we had household median incomes at record highs with Trump and a record low in poverty with Trump in 2019. It was never lower since 1959 than in 2019. That's according to CNN and a whole bunch of other publications. But people would rather vote for recession. The Democrats would rather vote for recession than have Trump back. And they're obsessed with Trump. And they've created this fantasy world where there's good Republicans, and there are Republican candidates who just don't who the less extreme Republicans would have defeated the incumbent Democrat in a red state easier. This is complete nonsense, because those publications, like publications even in Arizona or anywhere else, Alaska, they'll go full steam against the Republican. Everyone writing in publications throughout the country, even in red states, every journalist is like a liberal Democrat who sees any Republican as this big problem. They only make they only differentiate between Trump Republican and Republican now because it's convenient, because media and the Democratic Party have created this fantasy world. Well, once Trump is kicked out, then we can have a normal political environment with actual Republicans and Democrats debating in a good-natured manner. Ain't going to happen. They've crossed the Rubicon in terms of apoplectic and hysterical media coverage. So, at the end of the day, Trump is not extreme at all. This is a man who signed prison reform legislation and did a whole bunch of things that a liberal Democrat would do. We also had a fantastic economy. What was extreme is the reaction towards Trump. They're going to justify the indefensible against Trump, which is what they always claim Trump does. But at the end of the day, they get away with worse, and they suppress discussion and dialogue, and they have government agencies utilizing the nonsense purchased by Trump's rivals to investigate Trump. It's been 6 years. They want some. If they can indict Trump, in their minds, they'll get that boost they need for 24. It'll backfire. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. it's very likely, very possible that he knew, and it's very possible that it could be part of a longer strategy. I'm not saying it is. I'm quoting this article. The you had the video footage of Trump. I mean, you have the video footage. You have empty safe. You have documents that he almost certainly knows existed in Mar-a-Lago, and you have the possibility that he has other documents. He has other documents implicating perhaps government officials who broke the law against him. So it'd be very interesting to find. And they're not at Mar-a-Lago, almost certainly. One would assume. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.